You do not have to be pretty with this. Try to get equal amounts of shrimp on all the plates. Mushrooms, bacon. Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Food with Mike. I'm Mike. Today we're going to do a Southern classic. I never had this dish until I moved to the South. I had never heard of it. It's shrimp and grits. It originated in Charleston, South Carolina, sometime around mid-1900s is when it was first recorded. And now it's one of the most popular meals in in the South all over, but especially in South Carolina. And doing my research on this dish, I've made it before just by watching people. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I've seen all kinds of cheeses being used, all sizes of shrimp being used. I do my grits a little different than a lot of people would because I kind of incorporate extra flavor into the liquid that I cook them in, the grits that is. So let's get into it. What you need for the grits, I'm doing it for 4 people, so I need 1 cup of grits, 4 cups. I'm using milk, and I'm going to steep some things in there to incorporate more flavor. And then I've got 8 ounces of grated cheese. I'm not going to use probably all of this, but I want to say this about grated cheese. Don't buy, for this recipe, don't buy that bagged stuff, because that bagged shredded cheese, because they put cornstarch on that to keep the cheese from sticking to itself, and it will affect the outcome of this recipe. So all we're going to do to start this, you got to do a little bit of prep work on this dish. All you got to do is heat up your milk in a pot. That's the 4 cups of milk. And then I am going to add 1 onion, chopped up rough. Just a basic, this is a rustic dish. It's not a high-end cuisine thing. I had people asking to do more dinner-style things in my comments. So this is what I do for dinner sometimes. In fact, what we're having for dinner tonight. Okay, just a rough chop on the onion. Goes into the milk. I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Let it steep for just a few minutes. I got 1 green pepper from my garden. I have no other way of using it because I'm not a big fan of green pepper. Again, I'm not being real fancy with it. Normally I would cut the membrane out of the inside of this. I'm not worried about that in this recipe. Just rough chops. Goes right into the milk. I've got a cayenne pepper from my garden. You can put a jalapeno. You don't have to put anything in if you don't want it. It won't add much spice. It just has a good flavor to it. And then I'm going to show you garlic. Okay, so on the garlic, you got the head of garlic here. I take it, press it down. I'm going to take 2 cloves of garlic off of here. Whoop, almost lost it. Okay. Set this over here. What I do with this is I take the garlic with the knife, smack it, just to crack it open. Okay, I'm just going to pull this off of here, the skin. And if you see that little knob right there, that little woody part, I always cut that off. It's just a personal thing with me. I like to take that off. So again, we already popped it and cracked it. I'm not cutting this one up really. I'm just giving it a crack to open it up and taking off that little knobby thing at the end. Again, just like that. I'll give it a little, just to open it up, just like that. Goes into there. And we're going to bring that to a boil. I'm going to put a little bit of salt and pepper in there. About maybe a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so here I'm just rendering off some bacon. This is going to be with the shrimp at the end. This gets cooked separately from the grits. Just rendering off. I took 6 pieces of bacon, and I'm rendering off this, getting it crispy. And then I'm going to reserve this and some of the fat for cooking the shrimp. Once we get all the stuff prepped up, this goes very, very quickly. Okay, so just a slow rendering. We don't want to go too fast so we burn it. We just want to go low and slow with this. Okay, so now this is where you want to kind of watch it. If you're not careful, it'll come all the way up and out. And then if you're using it on an open burner like I am, it'll actually flare up on you. So that's about all we're going to do. We're going to let it just turn it way down and just let it kind of lightly bubble for a little while. We don't want this to overdo the sides. Just want to soften these up a little bit and draw as much flavor out of those vegetables into that liquid as we can, because that will incorporate into our grits at the end. Okay, so next thing we got to do is we got to cut up some mushrooms. I'll show you how I do it. All I do is I take it, I put them in a strainer, and I rinse them off real quick to get any dirt off them. They're not going to incorporate that much water into it that way, but hold it on the side. Take your time with it so you don't cut yourself. Sharp knives help, believe me. So once I've cut all the mushrooms up, I have about that much out of a container that we bought after my wife took some to eat. These are going to cook down quite a bit. I want to get some color on these, so I'm going to put them in a really, really hot pan. A little bit of canola or vegetable oil. Has a high smoke point. You can get it pretty hot. Not much flavor to it. I am going to use some salt with it too to draw out any moisture. Just kosher salt. I'm going to do about half those mushrooms so it doesn't crowd up the pan and cool it down too much. A little bit of salt just to get it working. Get that salt working in there, draw out as much moisture as we can. Okay, so this is what we're trying to get to right here. There's not a ton of color on it. We want to cook that moisture out of it. This is how we concentrate the flavors of mushrooms. A little bit of salt, high heat, just to get the moisture. Okay, so the last little bit of prep that we have to do is to just cut up these scallions. These go with the shrimp itself. Like I said, once we get all the prep done, it comes together very fast. So I'm just cutting off a little end right there and peeling off any dirty spots. Then I bunch them up together. You don't have to do them all at once if you don't want to. Then on an angle, cut them very thin. Very thin. Take your time with it. That's good for now. Okay, so now I'm bringing this. What I did is I strained out the milk into a smaller pot. Okay, again, you want to watch that heat. You want it hot when you pour in. Yeah, see, it wants to go over. Turning the heat down. You're going to whisk in the grits. Now, these are instant grits. They cook in about 5 minutes. So we're almost at the end of this meal being ready. Whisk in the grits so they don't stick together. The reason I'm using instant grits for those true Southerners out there is because in the North, you're not going to find real grits that easily. Okay, so now we're going to cook the shrimp. This part goes very fast. Then we're going to finish the grits and plate it. So I got a nonstick pan. I bought the wrong pan. I wanted to get a small one for omelets, and I got this big, huge one. It was only $25, so it's not like a huge thing. A little bit of oil and a little bit of that bacon grease goes in the pan. I want that little bit of that bacon flavor. I've got 2 pounds of shrimp here. That's more than enough for the 4 of us. We'll have some leftovers. Okay. Hot pan. It all comes together fast now. So shrimp goes in. A little bit of Cajun spice. A little bit. I've lost my salt. There it is. A little bit of salt. I've got, I'd say probably, I've got a pretty good amount of garlic here. I'm not going to use it all. I'm going to use about maybe a tablespoon of chopped up garlic. Goes in there. Scallions. A lot of scallions. Actually, let's use them all. All the scallions go in. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do this dish. It's however you want it. If there's something I'm doing that you don't want in there, omit it. Okay, now these shrimp I bought, they're about a medium-sized shrimp. They had the tails on. I take the tails off. If you want to leave them on, go for it. I just don't want to have to deal with it when I'm eating it. Okay. Once it gets to about 3/4 of the way cooked, I'm going to add in the bacon. All the bacon, because why not? The mushrooms will go in now. You see how much they cook down. They cook down to about to here. They were all the way at the top when they started. They're mostly water. Okay. At this point, I'm going to add maybe a cup of cream, heavy cream. So about half of this pint. Okay, so to finish the grits, they're pretty much cooked. I'm going to add a knob of butter. Stir that in. Don't want to burn it. I'm trying to go low on the heat here, but it's giving me problems. Melt that butter in. And then we start adding cheese. I'm not going to use all this cheese. It won't use it all. Stir it around, melt it in there. A little bit at a time till you get it where you want it. We'll know when we taste it, and it's where we want it. Cheddar grits is one of my favorite things. I've seen people use smoked Gouda and Parmesan. I've seen a lot of different cheeses used in researching this dish. Like I said, it's not native to where I come from. I moved into its area. Okay, so now we're here. Shrimp is pretty much cooked. Pretty much as soon as that cream comes up to temperature, it's there. You can reduce the cream a little bit if you want. We taste here. Nope, seasoning's good. Actually, I'm going to add a little more Cajun spice to it. There. I like the Cajun spice. And I know it's not a Cajun dish, but I like it. So that's what I'm putting in. If you don't like it, don't put it in. Okay, so now to plate, it's real easy. Grits down. I have a family of 4, so I'm making 4. It's my wife and I and my 2 boys, and they are growing, and they eat more than I do sometimes. Oh no, I spilled. Oh no, I did it again. Again, it's a rustic dish. Doesn't matter if it spills. Okay. Shrimp just goes right on top. You do not have to be pretty with this. Try to get equal amounts of shrimp on all the plates. Mushrooms, bacon. I've seen it done with cream, without cream. Every one, though, has bacon, it looks like. Dish. Shrimp and grits. Southern classic, done by somebody from the north. But, you know, hey, pretty simple to do. As long as you do all that prep work ahead of time, it doesn't take long at all. This comes together very, very fast. That shrimp cooks in less than 5 minutes. Shrimp cooks very, very quickly as long as you're doing it at high heat. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you could subscribe, that would be awesome. I'm going to be doing a dessert one after this. So later on this week, you'll see a really simple dessert that I'm not a pastry chef, and I can do this. It's so simple. If you can make pancakes, you can make this dish. But anyways, give a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, have them subscribe, because the quicker I can get to doing this full time, the more content I can put out for you guys. I really do appreciate it. Have an awesome day.